Welcome to the Real Estate Espresso Podcast, your morning shot of what's new in the world of real estate investing. I'm your host, Victor Monash. This is a special edition. We've got a great guest today. I'm thrilled to have my wife, Natasha Sini, here on the show with us. She's a therapist, marriage counselor, frequent guest on radio and television talking about all things personal. Just thrilled to have you on the show. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
You know, this time of year has so much pressure for people to have that perfect, idyllic holiday, that Hallmark holiday. And yet, for many people, the reality is different. It's very difficult to live up to those expectations.
Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could have the perfect Christmas with all the trimmings, a lovely cooked meal, the beautifully decorated homes? It's just not physically possible to create a multi-million-dollar replica of what we see on TV. There is so much pressure put on us to have the perfect tree, the perfect dinner, the perfect clothes, and it really isn't real. It really is a fantasy.
So the holiday is really about establishing some priorities that match with your values.
Yes, it really is. Because if you try to live up to what we see on commercials, you're never going to succeed. And you're going to be in for disappointment all the time. Holidays are supposed to be about something special that you do and create with your own family, whether it's visiting family members or having a quiet Christmas and holidays to yourselves with just your own family, creating memories and an enjoyable time.
There's an awful lot of pressure to do things as well. You know, I've heard a lot of people come back from the holidays in previous years and say, man, I need a vacation from the holidays.
Oh, isn't that true? When you think about driving maybe 6 hours or flying from one side of the country to the other to see relatives, rushing from children's concerts to Christmas plays to after-work parties, the holidays can be really exhausting. And I think it's really important that we plan in downtime or spontaneity time in our holidays. While I enjoy rushing from one event to the other, and it's great to seeing friends, I enjoy curling up on the sofa with a book, walking in the forest, and finding things that are rejuvenating and meaningful to me.
I have a couple of books that have been staring at me from my bookshelf that I've been wanting to get to for a couple of months now. And so I, too, am looking forward to that little bit of quiet time. In fact, one of the things that we did last year that I'd like to repeat this year is take some time to do some goal setting. You know, we had the goal setting retreat in Mexico last year. That was awesome. And I led that workshop, but I didn't take the time during the workshop to do the work myself. I had to wait until I had more time off during the holidays to do the goal setting myself. And this year, I want to take that time, maybe a couple, maybe 3 days, to sit down and do some goal setting for 2019.
That's something I actually enjoy and that we do together. And actually, what I find fun is when I go through your cupboards and find on napkins where we've done goal setting in the past, or even just what's important to us when we look at our 1 year, 5 year, or 10-year plan. It's fun going back and seeing what we wrote and the things that we have accomplished.
You know, it's funny, things that we wrote down that didn't necessarily even have a concrete plan. It's amazing, just the act of writing them down. Somehow, they just came
to fruition. I think it's really important that we do write things down because it makes it more real.
During the holidays, there's so much pressure to buy, to spend. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's also important for you to look at your financial priorities. Given that this is the season to buy, a lot of people overspend over the Christmas and regret what they've spent when they look at their Visa or MasterCard bill come January. Once again, think about what your priorities are. I know it's delightful to give a gift to people and see the joy of someone receiving a present, yet if you cannot afford to spend a lot of money, or even it's a decision not to be caught up in commercialism and you're a minimalist, talk up with your family and your friends about what your goals are and what your expectations are with them. You have to remember, not everyone's going to buy into your belief system, but stick to your principles. And it's not about being cheap. It's about not going into debt.
Well, the holidays are a time to indulge, maybe a little bit too much food, a little too much sugar, a little too much wine. While it is fun to let your hair down a little bit during the holidays, it is also important to exercise self-control, whether it's with food, with money, with booze, with what have you, and maybe not engage in all the opportunities that are right in front of you.
I think that's very good advice. While there is so much good food to eat over the holidays, I think it's important to remember that having too much sugar, too much fat, and too much alcohol is going to make you feel bad the next day, whether you have a hangover or whether you just don't feel well. We know sugar impacts us emotionally, and after a sugar high comes the sugar crash. So enjoy yourself, enjoy the piece of pie, or enjoy, the baking that's available, but eat in moderation. It's good for your health, but it's also good for your mental health as well.
Oftentimes in family gatherings, especially those larger family gatherings, there are sometimes some people that you may not get along with or may say something that might be upsetting. How do you cope with that?
You don't have to engage in other people's drama. I think it's really important to be prepared that there may be a clash of personalities at the holidays. When it comes to extended families and friends and being out in public with other people's families and friends, like your in-laws, you all have a different upbringing, a different background, and different points of view. And I think it's very important for you to be prepared that not everyone's going to agree with you, nor will you agree with everyone else. And this is about taking a deep breath and realizing the only person you can control is yourself. You can choose to disengage from other people's drama. Holidays times are not the time to have a big political debate with somebody. It's not the time to force your point of view on people. And if someone's going to be out of line, excuse yourself. Go play with the kids, step out of the room, and sometimes you may have to go hide in the bathroom to take a deep breath, count to 10, and recenter yourself.
Oh, I love that. And, it's sometimes those situations will arise, and sometimes even important things that do need to be discussed. What do you do in those situations?
Once again, your family holidays is not the time to start having a rehash about some fight you had with somebody. I think it's important that if you have some type of discord, to be able to talk to somebody and say, look, I know we need to clean up this mess, or we've had a rupture in our relationship and family dinner is not time to talk about it. And let's actually choose a time that we can talk about it where there's not so much pressure on us. Your family dinner is not the place to have a real major discussion. I mean, it puts everybody else in an awkward position. And especially when you may have been drinking too much, this is not the time to start opening up old wounds. Acknowledge it politely and talk about making amends some other point in time.
I love that. I think that's great advice. Well, thank you, Natasha. Awesome advice. I'm looking forward to spending the rest of the week just quiet time with you and the rest of the family. And for the listeners at home, have a wonderful Christmas day. Go make some great things happen. And we'll talk to you again tomorrow.